Okay, so I didn't get to go through all this in class the other day, and I wanted to go through some of it now, very briefly. I know you can read through this, but so we're going to be focusing really on ethics in the workplace as part of our discussion because there are a great deal of ethical issues that obviously come up on a day-to-day basis, ones that are really prevalent, ones that we certainly want to address and research a little bit more, and just talk about what actually goes on in the workplace environment. So here's what we're doing. Your final draft will be due of this, of your presentation by February 7th. For a rough draft, just you do not have to have a full recording or anything like that. When I talk about this, that'll make sense. Just really kind of have an outline to discuss your ideas and any potential sources that you might want. So we're each I'm going to zoom in here so you can kind of see this a little bit better. Prepare a brief presentation on ethical issues in your field. So your presentation, I'm using presentation lightly here, can be very interactive online. You can have a recording not only of yourself, but notes and visuals and websites and research and things of that sort. I promise 10 to 12 minutes is not long when you get talking. There's no writing portion to this assignment, but I do want you to reference credible and scholarly sources in your presentation. Let me know if you're having any technical issues. Definitely go through a couple runs of this before you submit the final draft, because we want to make sure that you're okay with it. So you do not have to focus on one issue in your major. And if you want to use it as something just of interest, that's also fine too. I say to start with your major if you want, because that might be a little easier. Major, minor, whatever you're thinking like that. You can totally link to issues if you want to. It's definitely up to you. And I'll give you some examples in a second. You can record with QuickTime, YouTube, any app you like. I use Screencast-O-Matic here, which you can record up to 15 minutes at a time for free. Like I said, 10 to 12 minutes, you can certainly go beyond that if you want to. That's just our filler for kind of here. When you use Screencast-O-Matic, you can download it into a file or a YouTube link and then just share the link that way. Whatever you use, you can record right on Canvas. Just please, please, please make sure that you try it a couple times before you're sharing it. Send it to someone else to try to make sure that you don't have any technical problems with it. So when you're thinking about what you're presenting for your research here, I want you to think about if you do want to focus on something in your field or major, think about different ethical issues that might come up there. What have people been discussing or talking about? Are there any newsworthy topics? You definitely can connect this if you want to the pandemic. You certainly can look at different ethical issues that were coming up as a result of what's been happening these past couple months. I think I talked about this that, recently, because of the pandemic, so many women have had to forced to cut back or quit jobs because they've taken on the role of primary caregiver. Well, why are women taking on that role? You might look at a different ethical issue of pay equality. You might look at an ethical issue of discrimination based on race, whatever it might be. You want to investigate more what so is going on. You can look at case studies, movements. So you want to research and find some examples and rationale for what you're looking at too. Again, you're more than welcome to go beyond 10 to 12 minutes. I just want you to have that as your basis to look at too. You want maybe to look at companies. A good company or organization is always going to have a code of ethics or some sort of like standard or mission that employees or members have to abide by. I'll put some of these for our week 3 on our Canvas page, but of course, the best place to also go is like a human resource page of a company. You can even look at a place you've worked at in the past. What do you notice about any codes or standards, and have you seen these before? And then you might want to find some examples of these issues to discuss, like when and where do they happen? Is it still an ethical issue? Is there anything that's being done or solved? Is this issue connected to other professional issues, or does it, overall, go to other work areas? Some very, very, very broad examples to get you started. I would certainly break these down and modify quite a bit. If you'd like to use one, you can totally use something like this and relate it to major, minor, or just an area of interest. And I'll put more specific links on campus to help. So other ethical issues that come up, harassment issues, all kinds, verbal, physical. If you're looking for a movement, you can branch this off into the Me Too movement. Certainly issues around payment. I actually include one here. There's a big debate over should interns be paid. This spans lots of different majors, minors, and certainly job fields. You can think about inequality in pay between men and women, the wage gap. You can also think about the wage gap as it comes between um, men, women, and of course, anyone of, of color, of anyone of a different socioeconomic standpoint. You can look at issues of appropriation and inspiration versus plagiarism. So this is huge in a lot of fields. I would say, especially in design, journalism, areas of writing, speech making, photojournalism. How do you deal properly with sources and like verifying news, especially online, when it's so easy to take? You might look at technology and privacy concerns, especially with the use of social media, the use of images and photographs, even especially using when news stories use images of violence or death, how that kind of plays in there. You might also look at paid leave or time leave off. You might talk about dress codes in the workplace. You can think about this pre-COVID, of course, or body adornment. Discrimination issues, hostile work environments, that can come in a lot of different respects, or of course, ethical issues with false representation of product or services. You can think about ethical issues with environmentalism, with how products and how companies make different types of products and things. Clothing is a big one with that we'll talk about. So truly, these are just suggestions. I can't emphasize that enough. They're just suggestions. Please also watch or listen to and read through the notes I've posted on ethics in the workplace. I'll do a recording just like I am for this as well this weekend, so you don't have to waste time on that. These are broad, like I said. I would love to help you narrow these down a little bit more and to focus a little bit more on this. But when you think about ethics, of course, you're thinking about what goes into these moral decision-making processes, what goes into ethics, what makes quote unquote a company make good decisions and treat employees the right way, organization, whatever it might be. So think about this a little bit more. You do not have to pick any of these. These are merely just examples and suggestions. I would love if you even had something completely different that's come out of the past 8-9 months that you want to look at a little bit more. These are merely suggestions to help you get started. I know sometimes I like to have a basis to go off of. These should all be specified, like I said, into something more specific. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you might want to come up with. Again, for a rough draft for a workshop, just to have an outline, just to have some ideas of what you think you might want to do and how you want to present this as an ethical issue in the workplace.